Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Don Larry, and in this video today we are going to be sewing the trouser that we drafted the pattern earlier. If you are yet to watch the video on how to draft a woman trouser, I will put the link down below in the description box. If you are new to my channel, you are welcome. In this channel I upload sewing tutorials and pattern drafting. Kindly subscribe and don't forget to put on the notification bell. So guys, let's get started. To start cutting on the fabric, I will just remind us what and what we're going to be cutting out. So we're going to be cutting out one piece of the zipper fly. We're going to be cutting out one piece of this shield. For the belt or the waistband, we're going to be cutting out two pieces, the main fabric and the facing. But to save yourself from stress, you can fold your fabric into two and just cut one piece of this. I will show you how to do that. So for the front and the back trouser pattern, we're going to be cutting out two pieces for each of this pattern, and this is the fabric that I'll be using. This is an African print fabric and it's an 100% cotton fabric. You can make use of any kind of fabric you want for your trouser. So let's spread out the fabric, then we cut our pattern. So I'll be cutting out the front trouser pattern, and I folded my fabric into two because I need to cut out two pieces of this. So as you can see, the fabric is being folded into two. So for the waistband, if you want to make your trouser a bandless, that is if you are not adding a waistband to it, you will just cut out whatever you have like this. But if you are adding a waistband to your trouser or belt, remember that our belt is 2 inches and these are the seam allowance. So you're going to be measuring that 2 inches here. So you measure that 2 inches here, and then you're going to be folding it. You fold it or you cut it out, whichever way you want. So I'll be measuring 2 inches. And now that I've measured 2 inches, I don't need to add extra seam allowance to the waistline because this is my actual waistline. So if I want to measure that 2 inches now, I will have 2.5 inches with this seam allowance. So you don't need to remove the seam allowance. Just place your tape measure on the seam allowance. From that seam allowance, you measure your 2 inches and then you cut it out. So I will just fold the 2 inches like this, and this is what I'll be cutting out. I've cut everything out, and this is the shield. So also note that the shield, you will need to fold it by 2 inches, the same way you folded the trouser pattern, because we are adding belt to it. So you fold it by 2 inches just like I've done here, and then you cut it out, just one piece. You do the same thing for the fly. You cut it out like this. And then for the fly, you're going to be cutting out an interfacing for it. So I'm using a soft one, as you can see it, but you don't need any interfacing for the shield. So that is settled. So this is our belt, and just like I've told you that to save yourself from stress, you can use just one fabric. So you just fold your fabric into two. You can see the folded edge here. But if you are folding your fabric into two, it means that you're not going to be adding this 1/2 inch seam allowance. Because the reason why we added this is because if you cut out two separate pieces, you will be using this 1/2 inch to join the two pieces together. But now that we have folded, you can see the back. Now that we have folded our fabric, we are not joining it. That means we don't need this 1/2 inch. So you need to take note of that. So the only inches you will need to add is the seam allowance at the down part and at the side. So that is that for the belt. And for the belt also, you will need an interfacing for it. So this is a light, mid-light fusible interfacing, and you will be cutting out exactly 2 inches the belt. So it should just be at the middle like this. So you can see that I did not add the allowance to the interfacing because our belt is 2 inches. So you'll be cutting out exactly 2 inches for the width, and then the same length as the belt. So that is settled. So this is our main pattern, the front and the back, and I've cut out 2 pieces each, and I've folded our 2 inches belt, as you can see. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is that we're going to be transferring the duct to the main fabric. So to transfer the duct to the main fabric, I'll be explaining with the back pattern. You can use your tracing wheel if you have one. All you need to do is just to trace the middle line, this middle line of the duct. So you trace it on your pattern, and remember that the length of our duct is now 3 inches. So this is all you will need to transfer. You are not transferring the 2 inches or at the upper part. So once you've marked that line, or you can just notch, you can see you can just notch that line. You notch it here, then you take off your pattern. So this is the line here. I will just trace it out so you can see where I notch. So this is the line. I will just mark my 3 inches again, and also remember that you have half an inch seam allowance at the upper part. That means I will be marking 3.5 inches like that, and then you input your 1 inch dart intake again. So I will mark half an inch at this side, half an inch at this side. Then you draw your you draw the triangular dart shape. Then you will do the same thing for the front, and our front dart is going to be 2 inches. With your half an inch seam allowance at the upper part, you will be marking 2.5 inches down. So I've ironed the fusible interfacing to the zipper fly, as you can see it, and I've also done the same to the belt. You can see how nice and flat the belt is. So all you need to do is just to fold your band into 2, and then you iron it. So this crease line, which is the center line, that is where you will be placing your 2 inches interfacing, as you can see it here. Then you iron it. So this folded one now is the half an inch seam allowance. So I've just ironed it to make it very easy for me. Then I've done the same thing to the upper part. And for the shield, I just folded it into 2. And I've also sewn the dart for both the front and the back, as you can see it here. So the next thing we are going to be doing now, we are going to be overlocking the raw edges. So for the zipper fly, we're going to be overlocking this curved part from here down to this part. For the shield, we're going to be overlocking from here and the down part. So this upper part, you're not going to do that because we're going to be attaching that to the band. So, and for your trouser, the front and the back, we're going to be overlocking the crotch area. For both the front and the back, you overlock the crotch area and the inseam. So I will do that now, then I will show you what next. The next thing we want to do now is to fix the zipper. To get started with the zipper, you fold your front pieces right side facing each other, just like this, and then from this crotch point, this point here, you will need to mark 2 inches. You mark 2 inches, and from these 2 inches you mark, you can notch that. So I will just notch that 2 inches, just snip just a little bit, and from that point that we just notch, you are going to be marking 2 inches again. And now we also notch that 2 inches. So you can see we have 2 notches at the front. So in between these 2 notches, this space that we have here, you will use your seam allowance to stitch that part. So we are going to be sewing from here to here. So once you've stitched the 2 inches that we notch, then let's open it so you can see the upper part and you can see what we have at the lower part. So we just stitch in between. So once you've done this, now I have the right side of the fabric facing up. Then you're going to be needing your shield at this point. So you take your shield, and this raw edge of our shield, we go with the raw edge of this part of the trouser. So now the part of the trouser is at my left, but if I'm wearing it, it will fall at my right. But now it's at my left. So this is what I mean. This part, we go with this part, and our zip will be in between. So to make it very easy, you take your zipper, place your zipper on the shield like this. The zipper is facing up and the folded edge is at this part. Make sure that the edge of the zipper align with the raw edge of the shield, and this part of the zip, this upper part, make sure it is above the shield, as you can see it at the back. So this part we go with our band. So just like this, and once you have it like this, you just turn it. You can see the way I'm doing it. Turn it and place it on this part of the trouser, which is at my left hand at the moment. So the edges must be aligned with these edges, and then the zipper, the part of this zipper will be above this part as well. So you can see the way I'm placing it. So you can see our zipper, and you can see the three edges all together. So we are going to stitch from this upper part down to this point that we stop stitching, that we notch. So we are going to be stitching down to that part. Then I'll just zip the zipper up and make sure you assemble everything together. So you can see the three parts that I'm sewing together. So you are going to stitch and stop at this notch part. So this is what you will have. So once you've done this, you're going to be working on this other piece, and at this time you will be needing your zipper fly. So this zipper fly, you're going to be placing the right side on each other like this, and then you're going to stitch it from this upper part down to that point that we notched earlier. So that is where you will stitch to, from the upper part down to that notch part. So you can see where I stop. So, and this is the other side of it. Then once you've done that, you flip it over just like this, or you can top stitch. You fold it like this and top stitch on this zipper fly, not on the main fabric. So you fold these raw edges, you fold it to the zipper fly, and then you top stitch it. So like this, and then you fold it. So once you're done with that, place the two together like this, and then this is how the back will look like. So you can see the wrong side of it. So the next thing now is to fix the zipper to the zipper fly. So all you need to do is just to make sure that the two at the front, that this part overlap just a little bit the other side, just like this, and then you turn to the wrong side. Then you want to stitch from here now to the upper part. So, and you are going to be stitching it on the zipper fly and not on the trouser, not on the trouser pattern. So all you need to do now is just, you can open the zip to make it very easy for you. Open the zip, so you can see it, and then you pick the zip and the zipper fly together. You can pin it down So you pin it down, then you check again just to be sure that the two overlap together at the front. So once you are happy with that, then you turn to the wrong side again, and then you're going to stitch. So you're going to stitch from this down part to the upper part. Then for you to be able to sew it at the upper part, you will need to move the zipper down. So like this, and I will just zip it up. So this is what you will have at the back. So I will just turn it to the right side, and this is how the right side will look like. So you can see how neat and flat this is. So once you've done this, in order to hold this in place, we are going to be top stitching the zipper fly. This zipper fly, we're going to be top stitching it on the trouser, and we're going to be starting from this notch part. This is this part here. We start from there down. You follow the curved zipper shape, then you do that down to the upper part. So I'll be doing that from the right side. So you can see this point. So you place your sewing machine there, and then you top stitch it just a little bit like that, and then you're going to stop stitch following the zipper flyer shape. So at this point, make sure that the shield is not together with the zipper fly. So you make sure you are top stitching just only on the zipper fly. So this is what you will have. So you can see how easy it is to fix your zipper to the trouser, and this is what the back will look like. So this is what you will have at the back. So now that we've done this, the next thing we want to do now is to connect one part of the back to one part of the front. So these are the pieces for the back. So this part we go with this. You place the right side on each other, just like this. And the first thing we want to do is to start sewing from the out seam. So we are going to be sewing from the out seam, from the upper part down to the down part. That is what we will first of all do, and make sure that the notches you have at the nail line for the front and the back matches together. So you place it together, and that will serve as a guide for you. So you do that, and after you might have done that, the next thing you will do is to stitch the inseam together. So I will do that, and I will show you what next. So I've joined the side seam and the inseam just like I told you earlier, and this is what we have. So we only have the crotch area left, is to join it at the crotch. So you turn your trouser to the right side, and then you will start sewing from that 2 inches we left for the front before we start stitching. So that is where you will pick up from. So you place it together. You make sure that the inseam line matches together like so, and then you will need to open up your seam. So this is how you will sew it, so that it will be flat at the crotch area. So you open it like this at both sides, and then you pick up from these 2 inches. You sew it using your seam allowance. You sew it through to the waistline of the back. So I've joined the crotch together and our trouser is taking shape. So once you've joined the crotch, the next thing you want to do now is to take your measurement. So you will take your measurement and you will have your ease allowance left. So it now depends on you if you want the ease allowance or you want it fitted. So all depends on you. So that is what I've done here. You know, this is my half an inch seam allowance, this first line. So this other line is my ease allowance and I don't want it. I want it fitted. So I measured my actual hip measurement, which is 10 inches. As you can see, it's there. So I don't want to keep the ease allowance. But it now depends on you. If you don't want it too tight or fitted, you will need to leave your ease allowance. So you measure your measurement, you take your measurement round. So this is my hip measurement round and I have 20 inches here, which is my hip divided by 2. And at the upper part also, you can see the ease allowance, I don't want it, so I will need to trim it out. So it now depends on you. To make yourself comfortable, you can decide to leave your ease allowance. So what we're going to be doing next is to fix the band to the waistline. So you place this part that has the interfacing, you place it on your trouser and then you're going to leave half an inch seam allowance just like this. Then you place your seam allowance on the trouser. So we're going to sew through like that, then to the other side. So you can see what I have now. So you can see it. So once you've done that, then the next thing is to come back to this edge and then you're going to fold. You can see the crease line, that's the middle line. You fold the other side, you fold it on it. So you fold it on it like this and then we're going to stitch this our half an inch. So I'll just place that. Then I will just cut this sharp edge just a little bit. Then you will turn it out. You can see what I have here now. You can see it. Then you will do the same thing to the other side. So at the other side, you fold it and then you're going to sew it. So you can see what we have now. So you turn back to the wrong side. Then at this end, you tuck this, your half an inch, you tuck it in. So like that. So this is what you will have at the wrong side. And then we're going to be stitching it from the right side. So you make sure it is aligned at the back, just like this. So I will just stitch it from this end down to the other end. So this is what it will look like. You can make yours tiny depending on the design you want at the band, and this is what the inside will look like. So our trouser is ready now, and the next thing we will do now is to make a buttonhole. and then you attach a button to it. So at the hem line, you're going to be using your seam allowance. You fold it in, and then you fold it twice depending on the amount of the allowance you added, and then you're going to stitch it from the inside. So you're going to stitch it from the inside round, and then you do the same thing to the other side. This is the final look, guys. Make yours and share with us on our Facebook group at Don Larry Easy Sewing Class. If you have any question or suggestion, kindly drop it down at the comment section. Don't forget to leave your comment, share and subscribe if you are here to do so. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye for now.